If you've followed me on Twitter or TikTok for a long time, you'd probably know that last year, before last season, I was pushing some pretty hard anti-Chargers narratives. And the reason I was doing this is because I didn't like their defensive personnel. And I didn't think they'd be able to defend the run at all. But this offseason, they have won the entire offseason because of the moves they've made to shore up their defensive front. And I'm here to explain why I think the moves for Khalil Mack and Sebastian Joseph-Day elevate this team into a Super Bowl contender. All right, so this is what your typical Chargers defense would look like 2 years ago. The single high shell and a second safety walked down into the box. And what that obviously does for you is gives you numbers in the running game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gaps for the offense to run through, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys there. Your numbers add up, you're in good shape against the run. Even on a play like this, where I think 52 takes some false steps, all right, the lineman is able to reach him here and take him out of the play, you're not completely screwed, all right, because 71 is able to rock back into that B gap and make the play. That's actually pretty much 2-gapping by 71 here. They could have used a little bit of that Damian square action this year, but unfortunately he was not on the team. But anyway, that's basically the premise, right? You're always solid against the run, and you've got enough guys in the box to account for all the gaps when you're in a one high shell. Flash forward a year to the Brandon Staley era, and once again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gaps for the offense to run through here, but you've got 2 high safeties, which means you've only got 6 in the box. So your numbers are not matched, and you're giving up a body in the running game. So if you're going to play 2 high safeties, you need a defensive lineman that is good enough to control 2 gaps at once, and the Chargers do not have that person. On this play, Christian Covington, God bless him, is going to attempt it. He's going to try to close the B gap with his own body and then push future Hall of Famer Zach Martin far enough into the A gap that he becomes hip to hip with the center and Zeke has nowhere to run, right? That's his goal. Of course, this doesn't fucking work because Christian Covington sucks and Zach Martin is all world and he doesn't get anywhere close to closing that A gap and actually gets knocked flat on his ass. But that would be the goal of this play, right? And if you have like an Aaron Donald type or something like that, it's no problem pushing a guard into that A gap and you're good to go. And then you can play 2 high safeties, be sound in coverage and sound in the running game. So that's the idea with it. But, you know, Jerry Tillery's not doing this. All right. Christian Covington is not doing this. And then the safety that would have been in the box last year has to come up from depth and make this tackle after Zeke has already run 10 yards. I don't think I have to show too many plays of this. I think you all get the point. I could make an hour-long compilation of common Chargers L's in the run game here and the run fits here. I'll just show one more, right? Against the Eagles, we got Linval Joseph. He's trying to shed Kelsey and make the tackle here, but he's not athletic. Dude's like 33, just kind of flops on the ground. What else is going on? We got Jerry Tillery getting comboed, right? And that turns his back completely to the running back. And then when he finally turns around, the running back's already by him. And then he gets pancaked. All they had to do is attach this read option to take Bosa out of the play, and then it's just a really easy 8-yard chunk run. This would happen over and over and over and over again. Okay, I'll show one more. This is Jerry Tillery, my favorite player, and this is just an example of his absolute prowess against the run, getting comboed by 2 Giants linemen and then escorted 4 gaps away from where he's supposed to be and off the screen. I don't want to seem like smug or a know-it-all, but if you were paying attention, it was pretty easy to see these Chargers defensive woes coming because in 2020, when they had the extra guy in the box, they were the 26th ranked run defense by DVOA. That's already bad. Their defensive starters that year were Bosa, Justin Jones, Linval Joseph, Melvin Ingram, Kaiser White, and Kenneth Murray. They basically ran back the same front 7, didn't make any meaningful additions, and they just hoped the same front 7 that couldn't really defend the run with loaded boxes could somehow figure out how to do it with one guy out of there. Then their season got derailed by Rex Burkhead, of all people, putting up a $150 and 2 touchdowns on him. So that's how that went. I'm going to start the Khalil Mack segment of this video by talking about some pass rushes of his for 2 reasons. First of all, I still think that it shows, even though that this is kind of a run defense video, it still shows the traits he possesses and things to get excited about in both phases of the game here. And the second reason is because there's a much higher quantity of pass rushes than runs that are coming at Khalil Mack. Teams don't do that a whole lot. But anyway, here he is against the Bengals, and you might be thinking, their offensive line sucks. He's up against Riley Reiff, though, who is not the worst player on their offensive line, I'll say that. But you just see how strong he is, all right, to move any man of this size like he does, right? First of all, gets upfield quickly, still a lot of explosiveness off the line, gets a lot of depth in the first 3 steps here, and then just puts his shoulder into him, executes a hump move, and sends Reiff just like flying 5 yards into the backfield. And Burrow gets the ball out quickly here, but if he would have had to hold it, Mack would have gotten separation and been able to chase him down there. Here's another example with the bull rush. All right, there's the snap of the football, quickly off the line, gets into Reiff's frame, and then knocks him back into Burrow. Gets both feet off the ground for Reiff, right? He's fully in the air here, but Burrow once again gets the ball out quickly, plus there's a little bit of chip help. So Mack is not quite able to turn that into a pressure, but you still see the raw power that he has at the point of attack right there. Here's a bull rush from the same spot again that actually turned into some production for the Bears defense here. Reiff is in Burrow's lap after getting pushed back there by Mack. Spins right into the defensive tackle. There's a sack. And these bull rushes, I think, translate pretty well to the running game for, I think, obvious reasons. Remember the example I showed with the Chargers last year? I think it was Christian Covington trying to push Zach Martin into the A-gap. Wasn't strong enough to quite do that. Khalil Mack doesn't quite play the same position. He's out on the edge, but he can control bodies. He can control linemen and push them back to where he wants them to go. And he's not going to be the one that gets pushed back into where they want him to be. Here's a good rep versus the run. Khalil Mack is here, obviously. He's going to be reading this tackle. The tackle down blocks versus the 3 tech. When that happens, Mack knows that he's likely going to see some sort of pulling guard working his way towards him. Mack recognizes that pretty quickly and starts shuffling laterally, staying tight to the line of scrimmage to close this gap as much as possible before the guard even gets there. When the guard does get there, Mack knows the low man wins, gets underneath his pads, and just stonewalls this guy, limiting space for this running back to go through as much as possible, really. And then he's able to disengage and help get in on the tackle here. After this game, Mack suffered a pretty bad foot injury in week 3, and he tried to make it through a couple more games, and he was decently productive, but didn't look quite as dominant, and then they shut him down for the rest of the season. So the sample size of prime Mack games this year is pretty small. Staley is a Vic Fangio disciple, and with the way that Khalil Mack was moving before his foot injury this year, it makes me think that he could do a similar thing, a little discounted, but a similar thing for Staley that he did for Vic Fangio those years that they played together. And not only did they get Khalil Mack, they also got Sebastian Joseph Day. He was the nose tackle on some of those Staley Rams teams that were top of the league in defense. Here he is against Ryan Kelly, who's a pretty good center, right? And he just dominates him right off the snap. He's ready to make a play. If Jonathan Taylor were to run through this A-gap, Jonathan Taylor can't do it. He runs into this one, but there is Sebastian Joseph Day again, popping his head, rocking into that gap, and making the play there too. That's the 2-gapping that the Chargers need. If Khalil Mack and Joseph Day can be, 85% of what they've been these past 2 years, and based on what I've seen, I think they very much can be. This run defense goes from horrible to pretty good, I think, and this Chargers team with a decent run defense is a scary thought for any AFC West team, for any AFC team, and really for any NFL team. I think they're bona fide, legit Super Bowl contenders right away if these guys can be what I think they're going to be. And even their passing defense wasn't that bad in 2021. 19th in the league by passing DVOA or pass defense DVOA. Not great, obviously, but not horrible. It's that 30th ranked run defense that I really think prevented them from making the playoffs. The number one key to building an elite squad in football or any sport is the drafting and developing aspect of it. And overall, the Chargers have done a good job with that. Eckler, Herbert, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, guys like Nasir Adderley kind of had a breakout last year. They've done a good job with that. But you can't just do the drafting and developing. If you could, the Packers would have about 1 billion Super Bowls through the early 2010s. No, you also need key free agent additions. Every Super Bowl champion has a couple of them. I think that's what the Chargers were missing last year, and I think they have it this year. And I think that these, not that they're small additions, because Khalil Mack is a big name and they gave up a second round pick for him, but like filling out the roster with some smart free agent decisions is truly what can take a team over the top. And I'm picking the Chargers to make that leap. I think they're going to win this division, the toughest division in history. And I think through that kind of trial and tribulation, I think they're going to be set to make it through the playoffs and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's my prediction for them. I think once they've kind of ironed out these run defense things and kind of have the personnel that actually can run Staley's scheme, I think they're off and running, man. I think Herbert's him. I haven't even talked about JC Jackson, but I think that they had a great offseason, and I really think we're going to see these moves pay off. So that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, I'll be back next week, and comment what topics you'd like to see in the future. I especially love it when people have defensive guys they'd like me to take a look at instead of just quarterbacks and wide receivers all the time. So that would be appreciated. Be sure to like and subscribe, and see you later.